Hi everyone, welcome back to yet another episode Talking Success. Today we're going on a little different journey. We've spoken a lot about payments, we've spoken a lot about digital banking, we've covered lots about crypto. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Chris Govender, who is the CEO and founder of Rentoza here in South Africa. And as you can probably guess from the name, if you haven't necessarily heard of the platform and the business, this is all around e-commerce. So e-commerce solutions for individuals here in South Africa, but certainly relevant to other parts of the continent. Rentoza's got a very different model. I think we're going to unpack that very shortly, actually. I'm probably going to focus on that first and then maybe talk about some of the comparisons of other types of lending solutions or payments solutions that are available here in South Africa, including things like buy now, pay later, save now, buy later, and any other acronym that people are coming up with these days. But Chris, listen, thank you so much for joining me on a kind of bright-ish Friday morning in Johannesburg. It's nice to have you here. I think you're in Rosebank, aren't you, from the looks of where the business is headquartered?
Correct.
Okay. How's Rosebank this morning?
So correct. It's busy. Thanks for having me, Darren. It's a pleasure to be here. Always a pleasure to chat about subscription and Rentoza, and obviously, how we're trying to disrupt the space by creating access to what we believe are essential goods to consumers throughout South Africa, and hopefully one day throughout the world.
Amazing.
Rosebank is good. As a business, We've closed our Series A pretty recently.
Congratulations. I did read that a couple of weeks ago, so congratulations.
Yeah, no, thank you. It was quite, I think, a milestone for the business, not only the founders, but everyone in it. It was something that was quite a lengthy journey, and I think it's came at the perfect time, afforded the business to grow to newer heights, which we are experiencing now. We currently seeing the business experience a new record from a sales perspective, monthly, which is exciting. And we have big aspirations, and to achieve that, we have to get our infrastructure and operational capabilities to those levels.
Let's talk about
just a little bit small.
Well, listen, it would be good to get an understanding for those that are tuning in, perhaps are outside of South Africa, may not have heard of Rentoza. In terms of the model and the sort of business, could you kind of highlight that and give us a quick kind of elevator pitch on Rentoza, what you guys do, what you offer, and then I've got a load of questions sort of off the back of that.
Yeah, so Rentoza's South Africa's first subscription service, and subscription meaning, we create affordable, flexible, convenient access to essential goods and products to the consumer market. So what that means practically is through our model, you'd be able to access things like consumer electronics, mobile phones, tablets, laptops, gaming consoles and accessories, appliances, fitness equipment, baby goods, all through a subscription model, meaning you pay a flat subscription fee monthly, aligned to a term that you'd want to access the product for. But the key is the flexibility. So, our purpose is to drive utility to customer, so they can access the product, if it's a mobile device, if it's a laptop, to carry out a work or side hustle, or just any form of function. But the flexibility of the model is any customer is able to upgrade, downgrade, cancel a subscription at any point in time. I think, that element of the model speaks to, is quite responsive to the economic climate that we find ourselves in. I think not only in South Africa, but globally, right?
Absolutely.
So practically what that means, I think practically if, Darren's got a lovely MacBook on his desktop, he chooses to upgrade, so be it. I mean, for whatever purpose, things change, you're impacted financially, you'd be able to downgrade to a more affordable model, but still have the access to the product to utilize it, right?
So
Yeah,
talk me
that's
through.
Rentoza in a nutshell.
Okay, Chris, talk me through a use case. You just mentioned, obviously, I've got a laptop, and I want to upgrade my laptop to the latest, one that's being released by Apple. I come onto Rentoza. I obviously sign up. I know you've got a digital sort of KYC process as well. So I create an account. I go through my digital identity. So I scan my ID card. I scan the utility bill. I take a photo of myself. Upload that to the platform. I then get. Do you run credit checks? Is that how this works? Is this credit backed or not?
Yeah. So in the initial stages, yes, but we found that it's quite archaic, and it doesn't really align to our value proposition to say that we're creating access of product for consumers. So we've over time designed a behavioral model, and we actually measure banking behavior. So there are certain nuances that we can pick up from a bank statement that a customer links, at the last leg of their onboarding journey. We're able to pick up these nuances and actually identify the sort of worthiness of the customer. It's totally not credit related. So what this means is naturally we will measure a customer on the last 90 days.
Yep.
And if the customer is able to manage and meet their commitments, manage their subscriptions that they probably have, most people do these days with streaming platforms and the like, that we can measure propensity to pay. And what that means is we've been able to collect on our subscription book maintain our subscription book at a 95% level for I think the past 10 to 12 months now.
Okay, so you've only got a 5% default. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Yeah.
We have a 5% default, and but to support or minimize that risk, we've also got teams of field agents who actually are mobilized throughout the country, go out to customer and execute on a collection of device. So we take that element or that challenge away from the customer. So it's an added service that we deliver.
So, Chris, it's quite a complex platform because there's lots of different elements here, right? So you've got obviously the KYC, which you do for your purpose. Then there's, from the sounds of things, please correct me if I'm wrong, but there's some sort of open banking integration there with the bank and the bank account. So you're pulling in and you're analyzing that. So there's probably some algorithms and machine learning and some data science that goes on behind the scenes in terms of worthiness of subscription payments. Then I believe, again, please correct me if I'm wrong, but there's an insurance product as well that sort of sits within Rentoza. Is that correct, or did I misread that?
That's absolutely correct. So all subscriptions, a subscription price includes the delivery and the collection of the product once your subscription has matured.
Yeah.
And it also includes insurance. So what that means is if a customer, goes through an experience of theft or loss of a device, they'd be able to reach out to us. We'll run a vetting process internally. The subscriber would be prompted or required to pay an excess payment. Once that's done, we process that new device and dispatch it and deliver it to the customer.
Wow.
So loss, theft, and damage, yeah.
Amazing. I mean, listen, that's a reality, isn't it, of devices, especially with their sort of mobile devices, if it be a phone or it be a laptop or, even a games console, because I've played many games. You just want to throw that thing right at the TV, right? So I'm not suggesting that people deliberately cause damage, but, these things happen. And I guess you have to protect your consumers and also protect your assets that you're effectively, and I know you don't like the word sort of renting out because it's not rent to buy, although there is an option, is there not, to actually purchase the product at any point? Or
correct?
Okay, fine, there is.
So The way we've designed it, like ultimately we've structured subscription terms around the latest releases or iterations of new releases or upgrades by manufacturers. We can use Apple, for example. On Tuesday, they're going to announce iPhone 15. A lot of consumers, myself included, would want to upgrade that. So we've designed the period that of the subscription around that. So you'll see varied subscription terms for across the product categories. For each product, though, there is an option to buy out the device post that period. So essentially what will happen is if I have a mobile device, if I've subscribed to it for 12 months, our teams would get in touch. Do you wish to upgrade your subscription? Would you like an extension? So would you like to access the product for another 1, 3, 6, or 12 months? And then we will sort of complete the journey with you signing a new subscription agreement. And that's it. You'll have the product. If you elect to buy out the product, we'll send you an invoice. It's quite an invoice for that buyout price. You make that payment and we'll transfer the ownership and send you a certificate of ownership once that's received.
And then if someone doesn't choose to renew and says, okay, I'm going to upgrade, and they send their device back to you guys at Rentoza, what do you do with all that stock? Are you then selling that on? Do you have like a secondhand marketplace for people to come and buy things at a slightly discounted price, or what do you do with that stock?
Yeah, so we've got 2 avenues, something that we've tested, sort of piloting now, and it's internal capability of repairs and refurbishments. So we've built a little center now at HQ where we see, I think, close to 50 or 60% of our sales. But we've also partnered with repair partners regionally. All product comes in, they get refurbished if it's required. A repair, it's repackaged and then redistributed to a new subscriber.
Right. Okay.
So we've done that. I think we've got close to about 2,000 devices that we've recirculated. So we're leveraging the circular economy. We believe that there's still value in accessing these products. And we slap on the Rentoza promise from a quality perspective that all product goes out as good as new. So, we were also able to monetize and, build further annuity income out of the product.
Amazing. Okay. Let's talk about sort of the evolution of sort of e-commerce, but, subscription economy. Okay. So again, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong here. All my research, I kind of do in the background. You never know if you're reading something that's true or not. But you guys were formed in 2017. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. Yes, we were.
Okay.
Sorry, go for it. Yeah.
My question is, 2017 to 2023, fairly long period of time. In that period of time, we've seen this kind of explosion, albeit perhaps not in South Africa as much as in other parts of the world, of buy now, pay later. It's the latest craze. It started obviously in Australia and it's gone over to Europe and the US, and we've got Apple now playing in that world as well, and some of the other big vendors. How has that affected your business? I guess 2017, that probably wasn't even on the radar in terms of that type of business model. And I know the offering is very, very different. Buy now, pay later, you own that product. It's yours. You can't then say, 3 months later, actually, I don't want it anymore. You can sell it, but you're going to get a fraction of that price. So I get there's a big difference in the market. But are you seeing from a consumer perspective that there's more options? What are people swaying towards given the economic climate that we find ourselves in?
Scott, could you design a video game?
I could make you a hypothetical one. If I took some random genres, mechanics, maybe blended them together and created a new hypothetical game.
Now that would make a great podcast.
Undoubtedly.
So what would you make? Something original and exciting? A Dark Souls city builder? A co-op roguelike?
Everything, all of that. We could use the Nemesis system from and put it in a first-person shooter, and we could have a loot system with survival mechanics and motion controls, and maybe you could, I don't know, save a kingdom from some out-of-control toasters. What about party?
Catch the Gaming Blender on all your favourite podcast platforms.
Yeah, so I think we're going to see a pretty aggressive move to subscription, and I mean, naturally, there will be a little bit of bias, when those words come out my mouth. But if you look at the economy, and I think there's a stat out around, if you want to measure credit and you want to measure access to credit and sort of the approval rate for consumers. I think there's a stat of around 27% of approvals for home loans in the country right now. Our value for subscription is not being measured on this sort of within the frameworks of credit, but rather being assessed on your behavior right now. So I think our addressable opportunity using subscription as a form of tender is what will drive market share for us in the future. And that's what we're seeing. I mean, to be honest, we've had a month-on-month sales records for the last four months now. So the uptake is significant. We're currently, sitting on a close to 20% sales jump if we compare our stats to last month. Yeah, so I think BNPL is interesting. There's regulation. There's a lot of big global players that took a pretty hefty knock. That's materially reduced their sort of market cap. I could mention a few. I'm not sure if I should, but Klarna is one of them.
Yeah.
That went from a 40 billion rand $1 billion market cap, to a $4 billion market cap. And I think it's primarily around based around the fact that how do we collect on that book, and how do we differentiate how we measure and qualify our customers. So BNPL exists. We're here to disrupt that.
Right.
And I think
it's nice to have something new that's being disrupted. No, listen, it's nice to have something new that's being disrupted already, for sure. Chris, talk to me about the merchant side of your business. So I forget who the distributor is for Apple in South Africa. Is it? I can't remember, whoever it is. You're contracted. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, it's the core group in South Africa that distributes the core group.
So
Apple.
You don't actually sort of buy the stock, do you? You kind of pass that order on, and they facilitate that sort of order, and then there's a relationship between you and the core group, or do you actually physically buy products and then sell them on? So do you have like a warehouse, or how does that work?
Yeah, no. So Rentoza is all risk. We take on the risk of the asset. It's us purchasing not only from core but a network of suppliers. Right. So across the business, the different product verticals, we procure the product, we process the product, and we dispatch it through our facilities. Right now, we're quite busy on a project of expansion. So we are expanding our offices and warehouse capability, both in Johannesburg and Cape Town, to sort of prepare us for festive and Q4, where Black Friday and Cyber Monday and obviously Christmas are massive trade periods for us. So, it's part of the journey. I think we outgrew our current infrastructure like 6 months ago, but this is part of the journey of any startup.
And is that a big risk to the business in terms of having all that stock? I mean, as you quite rightly said at the beginning of the conversation, technology moves so fast. Every time you blink, Apple or Samsung or LG, they're bringing out a new version of this and a new version of that. And I think it's kind of that sort of FOMO. People want the latest and greatest all the time, even though there's probably not much of a change between the iPhone 14 and the iPhone 15, arguably. Maybe we'll see tonight when they announce it. But I think it's tonight when they announce it. But do you not get left with a lot of stock then of sort of older models? Is that not a big sort of risk on the balance sheet?
I'll tell you what, there's an interesting stat that my CEO talks about, and it's the city golf effect. And we've very early on in our journey, we validated this using the iPhone 6s. Now, the iPhone 6s is what, 8, 9 generations ago.
Yeah.
And it was our fastest moving SKU at the time, and we couldn't get access to enough stock, to meet the demand. And it speaks to, the customer, right? In fact, feature phones are the highest volume or quality or type of mobile devices that are distributed in this country. The stats around, I think, 22 million South Africans are underserved in the country. We talk about access. What is it? It's digitization of everything. So what we're able to do is bring in product, recirculate it, sort of price aggressively and create that access for the consumer. So what we found is products come in, but it's heavily dependent on our turnaround times to refurbish and recirculate. From a new product perspective, what we've been able to do is, based on the sales data that's now given us a level of predictability, we're able to procure assets, but also manage the time that we store them through, proper demand planning and forecasting. And then obviously very, very strong relationships with our suppliers, where we agreed of what our consumption would be with them,
Sure.
based on the 4 quarters of the year. So I think we've got some momentum in the value chain in those areas that help minimize the risk, and the churn is at a high rate. So I think all those elements de-risk us.
I'd like to come back on the financial accessibility side. We've done many recordings over the last few months with the likes of Time Bank, with the likes of the Payments Association, the Banking Association of South Africa, and lots of people involved in digital banking. And I think and traditional banking. I think one of the big challenges that we have here in South Africa is that banks, by a large population, use the bank as a post box, right? Salary goes in. The next day they go to the ATM and they withdraw their cash out. Then there's numerous reasons why that happens. A lot of it is around trust. A lot of it is around sort of education. A lot of it is around sort of financial literacy. But that is a challenge. And I think when you're with your model and you're looking at people's transaction history, or you're looking at their bank statements, is there a way to solve this using some financial education from sort of Rentoza or maybe the wider industry, in terms of saying, listen, if you don't withdraw all your money from the ATM on the 28th of the month when you've been paid on the 27th, there's an opportunity now to actually get access to devices that you may not be able to go and afford, because if you're earning 5,000 rand a month and it's going into your bank account and you're withdrawing 5,000 a month, the following day, you probably save it under your mattress type of thing. So is there any work that you're doing as a business, or you feel the industry should be doing, to try and educate perhaps the lower LSM for the advantages of keeping a balance and using financial services and financial products that are offered by banks to further give them access to products and services like yourselves?
Yeah, Darren, I think education is a massive part of what I think it's a massive part to solve the unbanked problem in the country. But you hit the nail on the head when you said access, right? And education is great, but without access to these services, it's futile. A lot of the unbanked falls within the informal sector, and that's absolutely the type of consumer that Rentoza wants to serve and aims to serve. From an education perspective, and look, just one last bit about the financial part. It's like, you've got to deal with superpowers. And I think that has to be driven from that perspective. And just from an education, point of view, we are on a massive drive, to build the narrative and deploy and deliver it to our customer, to educate them on what the benefits of subscription is, what subscription means, and how it can add value to yourselves, to your family, how it can enhance your life. The high LSM isn't the individual that should have access to a smartphone. It's everybody, because every bank has a banking app. That's what will drive the conversion of the lower LSM. You're able to access your banking app. You wouldn't have to draw your salary out when you go into an informal sort of setting where you don't have access to ATMs. So I think there's an element of convenience that can be driven for a lot of the banks, a lot of the financial institutions, through this problem that we're trying to solve through subscription. Just the last bit about education, we've gone on a massive drive now to we've tested and validated a retail presence. We've done this with smaller retail pop-ups to obviously showcase product, to have trained teams to actually engage in person with our customers, to educate them, to assist them, across that sales journey. It seems to be working. So we are on an aggressive drive to put 10 more locations up throughout the country. We currently have 2, one in Eastgate and one very recently opened this weekend at Cresta Mall in Johannesburg. KZN and Cape Town's looking likely to be deployed in Q4. And I think these elements would add value to our customer and help our brand from an education perspective.
Absolutely. So you're going on the sort of looking at the retail side as well, so physical retail as well as obviously the e-com, which is where you guys started.
Yeah, absolutely. We know I think the stat is sitting at about 95% of South Africans still shop through retail.
Sure.
And that's definitely a very interesting stat and a sort of a presence that we need to build on. So we did test this. We tested it in 2 locations. It's actually, the channel is growing very well. There's a high level of conversion and more importantly, a great quality of customer. We want to build on it, and we're looking forward to that. Quite excited about it.
Yeah, sounds great. In terms of partnerships with other players within the ecosystem, whether it be banks, whether it be payments companies, whether it be other e-com companies, do you see Rentoza as quite standalone, or do you feel that there's opportunities to collaborate with other fintechs, e-commerce companies, payments companies, etc., maybe even other retailers? If we look at what Time Bank did with Pick and Pay in terms of getting their kiosks in all the stores, do you see that as a model moving forward, or again, do you think Rentoza, because it's so unique, is going to stay pretty sort of confined to its own sort of infrastructure and its own products and own channels?
I think partnerships, absolutely. We are always open to it, and drive it from a founder level. Trying to mobilize our networks to get some partnerships. Ultimately, we see Rentoza as a method of a form of tender, right? And that's what we are working on to try and achieve. So yes, we absolutely, I think retail will be a powerful partnership for us. We absolutely see ourselves having a presence right next to some of the BNPL players, the credit players, where a customer can, shop, use their 5 senses and then check out, through a Rentoza payment method and subscribe to the product. And us as a business would be all but too happy to manage that risk and manage the customer and subscription.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Last question before I let you go. I always say that, and then there's kind of another 10, but I'll try and keep this on point.
Yeah.
In terms of other business models, do you think that Rentoza would ever offer this to SME businesses or micro businesses? Perhaps the risk would be slightly lower for you guys, or is there a reason why you're not looking at sort of offering to SME businesses, PTYs here in South Africa?
No, absolutely. So Rentoza has a few B2B customers, SMEs. I think there's a massive opportunity there for us. I think more importantly, our business model really speaks to SMEs. And you're talking to the converted. I've been through this journey twice. Starting a business, and I remember when I was very young, access to credit. You don't have a credit score. Access to business machines, equipment to set up an office, all comes at a hefty price. And that's what we do. So we do have a B2B team. We've got a B2B channel, and product on display on our B2B website. We'd encourage your local listeners to reach out or to browse and shop. And we also take a little bit of a ad hoc approach. We get a lot of inquiries for specific products, and we are more than happy to look at the ticket size and see how we can put that basket together for our customers and deploy and deliver, right?
Amazing. I'm just looking around my office now. I've probably got 15, maybe 16 old laptops that are just sitting here, right? Exactly. Because they've died, or someone wanted an upgrade or whatever, and literally just sitting here, and they're worth, they're not worth anything these days. They're probably 6-7 years old, but having access to the latest machines, being able to upgrade people, being able to and I think we need to be cognizant of the times as well. There are companies that are right sizing, that are sort of trying to chop some overheads, and if you've got the opportunity now to go, actually I've got some assets here that I don't necessarily need, I'm going to cancel my subscription and give it back to Rentoza. All of a sudden you're kind of starting from a clean slate. So I think that's very attractive to businesses now, especially in the current economic climate.
Absolutely. So we've built a team. You'd likely to see a hard drive in the new year around our B2B presence and offering. We're constantly reviewing our product catalog, and what we found is there isn't a specific one size fits all. Every requirement is different, whether it's a designer, a data heavy sort of a business that needs a more efficient machine or higher spec machine. So we've taken a bit of a bespoke approach. We have the team actively on the hunt for new leads, and continually servicing our existing book. But your use case is a valid one.
So we can
I
come
don't
to
think
your...
you're the only one. Yeah. Best way to go for it.
No. Listen, I'm sure, but what you're saying is if there are some sort of custom requirements that aren't available on the Rentoza website, it is possible to get in touch with your team and say, actually, we're looking for an iMac and I'm sorry, I'm not pushing Apple here, by the way, but it's just one of my favorite products. We're looking for, let's say, I don't know, an LG 85-inch plasma or LCD or QLED or whatever they are now, and I also want a video camera, and I also want this and this and this. You can go and source those products and then potentially come back and say, this is what the sort of term would be and the monthly cost, etc.
Absolutely. So that's exactly what we do. We have quite a diverse network of suppliers. So we'd source and spec the product. We'd present an offer to the customer through a quotation for different periods. Depending on how the customer would want to structure that, we would extend a maximum of 24 months on that subscription. And if the customer agrees or is happy with that sort of quote, we'd onboard them, run them through our KYC journey, which is slightly different, just to verify, the company details, directorship and stuff. That's quite traditional. And once onboarded, we will deliver to the customer nationally.
Amazing. Listen, I think you've definitely got one new customer, and hopefully people listening to this may go, actually, that's a really good idea. And we'll make sure we make our audience aware. If they want some more information, Chris, the best place is obviously Rentoza .coza. That's the website, right? We .coza or we .com?
Absolutely.
.coza.
Yeah,
Okay,
.coza.
We'll pop the links down here. So if anyone wants to have a look, we'll pop them down here. If anyone wants to get in touch with you about potential partnerships, is it best to reach you on LinkedIn, or what's the best sort of route to get hold of you?
Absolutely. I think even if any of your listeners or potential partners want to reach out, there's a ton of content about our business, our progress, our growth, and our future plans. I'm always available on LinkedIn. Very happy to have any conversations at any level. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I've really enjoyed this conversation, Chris. I've learned loads about sort of Rentoza and what you guys do and how you're differentiating. I think what I read online to now sort of hearing it from you, it's kind of opened up my mind. I'm going, hey, listen, I'm going to go shopping later. I'm going to go and flick through some of the latest tools and send you guys a shopping list on Monday morning. Listen, I really appreciate your time. Best of luck with the expansion. Best of luck with spending the nice little raise that you got as well. I'm sure that's must be hard for you, Chris. I mean, it's a terrible problem to have, all that money in the bank. But anyway, we won't talk about that now.
Yeah.
And best of luck with the B2B launch and expansion across Africa and who knows, maybe even further afield.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Darren. It was a pleasure speaking to you.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Chris. All the best.